it's welcome along to Mr. Organ Showcase himself, Eric Lloyd. Good evening, Eric.
And to you. And it's nice to be with you, someone else that's also interested in organ programmes.
How long, without giving ages away, so have you been involved in the world of the cinema organ and indeed
I started playing the cinema organ at 16, and I left the cinema organ professionally in 1947. Apart from the 6 years in the service, of course.
Yes.
And I was with Ralph Reeder's gang show as a pianist.
Really?
Along with Dick Emery, Peter Sellers, and other people who became famous later. They were just ordinary airmen, you see, at the time. But Ralph Reeder was very skilled at picking out talent from raw recruits, people that were interested in and wanted to be on the stage but had no particular talent, and he would write stuff round for them. He would write sketches and things that brought out their personality and any talent they might have had.
It must have been literally the good old days.
Oh, it was. It was hard work, though. He was a strict disciplinarian, and we had the whole thing was financed by the Air Force, all the props, and we had a special coach to take us around. I went to North Africa, Yugoslavia, right through Italy, one-night stands. It's hard going, but it does a lot. You make a lot of friends, and on top of which also, it's very nice to think I was, even only as an accompanist, it was on a piano, it was very nice to know that I was amongst people who really made a big name for themselves.
Indeed, the stars.
Reg Dixon, the comic.
Of course, yes.
He was another one.
How did you first become introduced to the theatre organ?
Well, at the period that I was a schoolboy, the cinema organ was all the rage.
Yes.
And in every town, most cinemas, the talkies, as they call them then, had just come in, sound on film.
Yes.
And the cinema organ was a sort of a break in the programme. I think the average cinema at that time was putting an organ in.
Yes. And in particular, we've heard this evening at the Playhouse in Hume, the magnificently installed Empress Wurlitzer. Your opinions on that, Eric?
I think it's one of my favourite organs.
You have played it?
Yes, I was once sent to the Odeon Blackpool when the organ first went in there, a Konica. This was after the war, and Horace Finch came over to see me to try the new organ that had just been installed there, and in return asked me to come over and try the Empress organ. Well, of course, at that time it had a terrific time lag, and I found it very difficult to play, although I love the sound. Well, since it's been here, of course, it's as fast as any cinema organ I've ever played, and it's a good sound.
It is, yes.
But I feel strange on the cinema organ these days.
Nonsense.
I haven't played one for about 5 years, and I get myself a bit mixed up.
Well, I know that Alan Ashton did twist your arm. In fact, he mentioned the fact that you must come along and play for a Radio Manchester.
Well, he's been very kind to me, Alan, because he's got a similar type of programme, and if he gets something that he thinks I can use, he always passes it on. And that's worth a guinea a box to me. There's no envy, the fact that I'm on one station, he's on another. No, we help each other out, and tonight it was the only thing I could do was to say, yes, I'll come along, but don't expect Reginald Dixon or Reginald Fort play.
I then asked Eric about one of the younger stars of the Wurlitzer organ, a gentleman by the name of Nicholas Martin. At only 18 years of age, Nick is already making very strong headway in the field of theatre organ music, and indeed Eric was most definite in his comments about this up-and-coming young organist.
Knockout.
It is, isn't it?
Absolutely, yes. A knockout.
Certainly a star of the
Looks
future.
good and sounds good.
Exactly.
Yes. He'll be a great player. Whether there is room for people like that today, I wouldn't know.
No.
Because the only place that I could see a young man like that making a big name for himself would be at the Tower Ballroom.
Indeed, Nick has
He's got the
played
style.
there in the past, yes.
Yes, he's got the style. And I'm rather surprised that he hasn't stayed with him.
Yes. Having said that, an opportunity has arose for him to go and play at the Turners musical merry-go-round.
As a matter of fact, they've invited me down because I was the last to play in a theatre.
Yes. Oh, that should be something to look forward to.
Should I say the last alive to play it?
Yeah.
Yes, Con Doherty followed me, and I went on to the managerial side for J. Arthur Rank because I was in the right age group at the time. But I played it down at Dis, and I was a little disappointed in it. Not because of the installation, but the sound. It was a hard sound. And they tell me this new venue is absolutely perfect for sound. So I'm looking forward to going down.
Indeed. Well,
I only have to play 10 minutes, so that'll do me.
That should be quite pleasing.
Well, my repertoire stands about 10 minutes these days. I can't.
I'm sure not.
As you get older, your memory goes.
I forget things and I'm only 21.
I don't mind telling people my age. I was 67 last week.
Happy birthday for last week,
Thank
Eric.
you
Many
kindly.
returns. And I'm sure you will come back, as we've heard from you tonight. Even though it was only half an hour programme, it was certainly enjoyed by everybody. I know I, for one, did.
It was agony for me because I was so frightened. But I think this is only natural. As you get older, you lose all that brashness that you had as a young man, where you thought you were better than what you really were. At least I thought I was. And as you get older and you hear people like young Nick tonight, it cuts you down to size. But of course, at the same time, I never see the cinema organ these days. Even though I'm in the electronic organ business, it's a different instrument, isn't it?
It certainly is, yes. Even though the cinema organ sound can be created electronically, it's still not the same, is it?
No, it isn't. No. They can create the sound, but they also make them easier to play, don't they?
Indeed. Just before we do go, Eric, could you tell us a little bit about the programme which you do on Radio Lancashire?
Yes. I channel it to the home organist. And the idea being that there are organ programmes about, but they just play organ music. And I don't. If something new comes out, I try and get the rep to talk about it, whether he's an engineer or whether he's a man selling to the trade or whatever. And so I try to give them a picture of how even the electronic organ is changing. It's getting more sophisticated every year. There was a new organ came out last week, a Japanese organ company, and it's a completely revolutionary organ. At the moment, the model I heard was £20,000, but I managed to get a recording and let them hear what the future can be, because that £20,000 organ will probably, all that technology will probably finish up in a £500 organ before very long. That seems to be the pattern, doesn't it?
Indeed.
Things that we only found on an expensive organ like piano. There's a piano on even the smallest organ today.
Indeed, yes, that's quite right. Well, Eric, many thanks for taking time off before dashing back home.
And I hope we keep in touch with each other.
I'm sure we will, just before we do go.
And if I can help you with any records, I've got stacks, organ records, and if you want to borrow them for the hospital, I shall be delighted to let you have them.
That's a very generous offer.
So if you come in and see me either on a Wednesday or a Saturday, and if I can loan you any records, I'll be delighted.
I appreciate that very much. Mr. Eric Lloyd, thank you very much.
Thank you kindly. And all the best to the patients. Hope they get well quickly.
Thank you.